Artificial intelligence is already operating inside the walls of traditional academia. It is taking exams, drafting essays, and analyzing datasets across university campuses. The trigger point was the public release of ChatGPT in late 2022. Suddenly, generative language models were available to anyone with an internet connection. Students adopted these tools rapidly to streamline their research and coursework. Universities, operating on much slower timelines, found their existing academic policies and testing boundaries instantly outmatched. Generative AI has become an active, embedded reality within the architecture of higher education. The capabilities of these systems offer massive operational and educational advantages. Researchers use them to accelerate literature reviews and write code, while automated virtual teaching assistants provide individual support to students around the clock. But rapid integration carries deep risks for academic integrity. Recent data shows nearly 47% of students admit to using large language models in coursework. 7% use them to write entire assignments, exposing deep vulnerabilities in traditional testing. Faced with this data, some institutions react with complete prohibition. But attempting to ban these tools outright is nearly impossible to enforce, and it leaves students unprepared for an economy that relies heavily on artificial intelligence. The opposite reaction is uncritical, blind adoption. If students outsource their critical thinking to machines, the degree they earn loses its meaning, and the core value of the university is compromised. Universities are currently caught between total restriction and total surrender. To survive this shift, they must construct a third way: thoughtful, ethical integration. When a machine can instantly generate a highly competent final essay, educators have to stop grading just the final product. The focus has to shift to evaluating the human thought process that went into it. This is the AI assessment scale. It is a multi-tiered framework designed to help educators redesign their assignments for this new reality. At the lower end of the spectrum, the scale specifies controlled environments where no AI is used, ensuring a student's core knowledge is independently verified. Moving up one tier, AI is permitted strictly for pre-task brainstorming and initial research. At the upper tiers, the framework supports deep AI collaboration and exploration. Here, students are required to actively direct the AI, co-design approaches, and critically evaluate the outputs, rather than passively submitting machine-generated text. Assignments designed at these levels require students to document their reasoning. They map their cross-checking against primary sources, conduct bias audits on the algorithms, and make their editorial decisions visible to the instructor. With this framework, academic integrity is not something you police after the fact with flawed detection software. It is actively designed into the curriculum through total transparency. But structural frameworks collapse if the faculty and staff are not trained to use them. Universities must urgently upskill the people leading the classrooms. This requires moving beyond basic technical training and developing critical AI literacy. This involves a pluralistic constellation of cognitive, ethical, and pedagogical skills. Educators must know how to interrogate algorithmic bias, identify and correct machine hallucinations, and securely handle sensitive student data. This level of literacy establishes AI as a raw material for deep thinking. Acquiring the technology is not the same as having a strategy. An institution's ability to survive this disruption rests entirely on the critical literacy of its educators. If we scale out to the macro level, fragmented, ad hoc rules that vary by department create systemic inequity across the student body. This is a document from the Russell Group outlining principles for generative AI use in education. It demonstrates the need for top-down governance, defining clear ethical boundaries, mandating strict transparency when AI is used, and establishing uniform accountability across all departments. These campus policies must connect to global frameworks, like those by UNESCO, ensuring human rights and inclusive access are prioritized as algorithms are integrated. Institutional change occurs when national policy, internal governance, and classroom pedagogy reach a state of alignment. The exponential speed of AI advancement has triggered genuine existential anxiety. There is a very real fear that human cognitive labor is becoming obsolete. The core mission of the university remains the cultivation of wisdom and judgment. In a landscape defined by infinite, instant information, the friction of the creative process, ethical care, and genuine human understanding remain the irreplaceable measures of true intelligence. Human intelligence cannot be replaced. However, the window for educational institutions to proactively adapt their rigid traditional systems to this reality is closing rapidly. The arrival of generative AI represents a forced, urgent invitation to elevate and defend human learning. The survival of higher education now depends on its ability to strike a balance between aggressive technological innovation and uncompromising human accountability. It is time to move past the initial panic of disruption and begin the hard, structural work of building that aligned future. Welcome to the first episode of our investigative series, Responsible AI in Education: Opportunities, Risks, and Governance.